Hi guys, in this tutorial we will see what is useEffect hooks in React.js. So let me explain it. Let's say whenever we use any React project, we have performed some action, and across this action we want there should be another action automatically. So for this automatic action we use useEffect. So let me explain it with the help of an example. And here I have created an app.jsx component, and here we have index component, and inside index component we have rendered basically app component. So let me move in our app component. Here I have to type RAFC and just press enter. You will see that every code is showing here. Basically React is imported automatically, and this function is also created as well. At the very first part of our React.js course, I had told you to install some extensions, but for this extension I didn't tell you that what was this extension basically. So let me tell you one more extension that you have to add here. You just have to move in extensions, and here you have to type ES7, and here you can see some extensions we have. Basically we have to use React and React Native extension, and this extension we have to install, and you can see that I have installed this extension. This is nothing but just a snippet of that code that we are going to use here. So I have installed it. Because of this extension, whenever I press RAFC, and every code is going to show here, you can see. And inside this code, let me explain with the help of example that what is useEffect basically. Here I am going to take a button, and inside this button I am just going to right click me, and here I am going to use a useEffect const. I'm just saying its name as val1 and setval1, and here I am going to initialize it with the help of useState. And always keep in mind that we should have also import this useState from React. And in our this version of React, you can see that whenever I click here, it will be automatically imported from React. And here you can see that it is automatically imported from React. And let me initialize this value. I am going to initialize this value as 0, and here I am going to use any function, so that whenever we click on that button it would make some action. I am just going to write here on click, and here I have to write a function, and inside this function I am just going to set value, setVal, and here I am going to pass is updated value basically, and here I am going to write val1 plus 1, and let me show you how is it looking like. And you can see that we have basically an error, export default was not found, import as app. Let me check that I have not exported it. I have exported it, but it is one mistake that we have done. Basically, we have to use here default, and I am just going to make the same pattern as we are following since our first React tutorial. Here I have to type export default, and here just the name of that component. And now you can see that we have simply a button. And let me show you is it working or not correctly. So at the very first instance, let me create that. Basically I don't need to write any function because I have used it as inline function. Let me show you that is it working or not. How can we check it? We have basically just the updated value of that variable, which is known as val1. And here I am just going to write console.log to check if the value is basically updated or not. Control S, and let me move on our project here. Move in inspect, and here we have to move in console. You can see that whenever we click on that button, here it is showing 1, showing 2, 3, 4, 5, and by looking at this value, you can say that the value is updating and the function is successfully working. So here we don't need to console that. Here we have to use useEffect, and you can see that it is also automatically imported from React. And here I have to use parentheses, and inside parentheses I have to write all the code for that function. And here whenever basically we perform any action on our that React project, this useEffect will be automatically called. That I have already told you at the first part of this tutorial that whenever we perform any action, there would be another action automatically on our React project. And let me check that if it is working or not. Console.log, and here I am just going to write clicked, Control S, and let me move in our project. Here I am going to inspect, and here in console, and you can see that whenever we click on button, here it is showing clicked. Again when I click on that button, it is showing 2 times click, and 3 time click, 4 time click. As much time I press on that button, as much time the value of clicked is increased. This is just because of that we are performing any action on our project, and behind this action there is another action which is being performed automatically. And let me explain that what is basically an action that it can perform. Every action that we have to write in useEffect would be performed whenever we perform any action by ourselves in our project. I am just going to write here I am engineer Samuel. I am just showing it that how is it working basically. Control S, and now you can see that it is here showing I am engineer Samuel. Basically we are going to make any alert here. I am just typing here OK. Whenever you press on that button, there will be another action automatically that we have used in our use effect. I have pressed it and again it is showing, and as much times I press on that button, as much times it will show the alert that it is basically going to make any action automatically behind our action that we perform on our React project. Control V, and let me explain it in deep. I am just going to take another button here, button, and here I am going to type click me 2, and here I am just going to write 1, and I am going to take, let me check the error. Basically we have to use all that code in React fragment, as I had already told you that whenever we have multiple JSX components, we have to use these components in our React fragment basically. And here I am going to copy that code, Control C, and going to paste it again here. I am just going to change the names, val2 and val2, and here I am going to initialize val2 as with 10. And here I am also going to show that how these values are going to change basically. Val1, and here I am going to write another on click, and inside this on click we have to use another function basically, and here inside this function I am just going to write val2 and set val2, and I am going to set val2 plus 2, Control S, and let me show you that let me use here one break so that the button may come at the bottom. Let me create another break, Control S, and now you can see that whenever we click on any button, there will be an action performed on our React project automatically. It is showing here too, but not showing. I have not used here these values, val2, Control S. It is showing here 14, and here it is showing 1. Whenever I click here, it shows 2 here, and whenever I click on that button, it will make increment of 2 that I have written in our React code. So what if I want only there should be an other action whenever I click on click me 2, but not whenever I click on click me 1? How can I do that? Here use effect, we have to make here comma, and here make just braces, Control S, and you will see that whenever we refresh that page, there would be only use effect while we are going to refresh that page. And on the other case, whenever we click on any button, it will not show any alert basically. And I will show you the reason. You can see that the button is incrementing by 1, but there is not going to show any alert here. But whenever we click on that page, it will show the alert here. So my question was, I want just to click on that click me to, and there would be only perform an action behind that button, but not on whenever I click on click me button. So here inside these braces, I have to use val2. It is just showing that whenever we make any action on val2, there would be only useEffect called basically. For the all code, it will not show anything, but only for that code that I have here mentioned. Control S, and now you can see that it is just for refreshing. Whenever I click on that button, it is not showing alert, and whenever I click on click me to, it is going to show here alert. And again I click on that button, again it is showing here alert. And as much times I click on that button, which is a second button, it will show the alert. And whenever I click on our first button, it will not show any alert. This is just because of we have type here code that whenever this val2 is basically being performed, there should be some action behind this value 2, and for the rest of that code, it will not show anything. So this was all about today, and I hope you understood very clearly that what is useEffect.